Mark Sanders, welcome to the Arrive and Thrive Career Podcast, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, quite well.
Fantastic.
Beautiful day outside, so it's actually puts a smile on your face when the sun's out, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, mate, introduce yourself and to our listeners and what you do and the two businesses that you're involved in.
My name's Mark Sanders. Pretty much just an electrician from the northeast suburbs of Melbourne. So started my company, Sanders Electrical Group, 12 years ago. Sort of went out my own. A story of the same. I sort of got made redundant from a big commercial company. Came up working for a big commercial, did my apprenticeship with them. Classic big company, 150 blokes.
Yep.
Bit of a business slowdown, went to about 30 blokes, and my head was on the chopping block. So
There you go.
Yeah, a bit shaken by that, and then I was like, okay, I was smart enough to do all my tests and exams. I had my REC, I had my license, had everything ready to go. So I was like, let's give it a go. So I went out on my own. Didn't do too bad. Picked up a pretty lucrative government sort of contract for a few years.
Fantastic.
Did that for 2-3 years.
Yep.
Made some pretty good buck on that. At that point, the idea of KLM, which is my other business, was coming into fruition.
Yep.
Which is a hire rental business that I run with my old man and my brother. We'd sort of put together all the basics, what we'd planned to do, got it all in writing, had the plan, which was literally just going to be one machine in the backyard, rent it to mates.
Yep.
Use my brother, who's a plumber, has his own plumbing business.
And this is earth moving.
Yep.
So
the old man has a background. He came from rental and mechanical. He's a diesel mechanic by trade.
Yep.
Used to work for Wreck Air Hire, which became Coates, as people might know a bit better.
Yep.
Then worked for years in offices and stuff. So we sort of had the idea, he was working for an earth moving company at the time. Why don't we just buy a machine, we'll rent it to our mates out of the backyard. Sweet, no problem. So I finished up that government contract. One of my best mate was in Amsterdam living for a little bit. I was like, cool, finish that contract. At that point, I was also doing Ironman.
Right, like the big, like swimming, cycling, running.
Yep.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that was my life. I was at that point in my life, I was all about making work around training.
Interesting.
So,
Yep.
if working for myself could sometimes mean I would, smash out a job, do an hour and a half, 2 hour run at lunch.
Yep.
Work till 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Go for a swim. So
Wow.
it was pretty hectic at that point. It wasn't too bad because I didn't have a partner at that time.
Yep.
My life was triathlon. I was living away from home for these jobs.
Yep.
It was training camp every week.
Yeah, wow, man.
Take my bike and my gear down.
Yep.
To wherever I needed to be on a Monday. Work,
And this was
train.
regional work a little bit?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was Traralgon, Moe, Orbost,
Yep.
Phillip Island.
Yep.
I was chasing the bucks at that point. So
Yeah, wow.
things kind of aligned pretty well.
Yep.
The contract finished. I did Ironman Cairns 2014. Did pretty well, pretty happy with what I did. And I was like, cool, 3 months, going to go move to Europe, see my mate. And then 2 years later, I got back home again.
Yep.
So that trip really blew out a little bit.
Yep.
So moved over
Fantastic.
there, and I was like, well, I've got one chance to do some visas.
Yep.
Sort of, worked over there, worked as a pub crawl manager for a while, and
Wow, mate, you've done it all.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Sort of met my now wife over there.
Yep.
Working for the same company.
Yep.
She moved back here with me, and that was 10 years ago. We got married in March.
There you go.
Came back, and at that point, get the company started again.
Yep.
Get stuff rolling again. KLM had now come to fruition. We'd got our one machine in the backyard, and then so it was build from the ground up again. Start getting a hold of old contacts, getting work rolling again.
Yep.
Getting machines out. So electrical started to build up again, and then KLM we didn't take any money out of it for the first 3 years. We're like, okay, if we're going to do this, everything that's earned goes back into the company.
Yep.
It all just rebuilds the company. All three of us had side jobs as well.
Yep.
Side jobs. Other jobs, real jobs, I guess, at that point.
I suppose running individual companies, then this was the kind of first kind of partnership you were doing?
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
So my electrical company is mine, and then my brother's plumbing company is his, and then this was just our little side hustle. And we're like, we'll just put it all back into the company, build it up. And then, sort of 3 years went on, and it was really taken off. We'd brought more machines. We were quickly outgrowing the backyard.
Yep.
And quickly outgrowing the you know, get to my brother's house at 5:30 in the morning, wake most of his family up, get machines out, hook them on to customers, go straight from there, you know, do 8 hours on a job, 10 hours, then go from there and go pick up machines from customers, get them back to my brother's house, wake his family up again. So
yeah, gotcha.
Sort of made the sort of big plunge. We're like, well, this is really growing.
Yep.
And the old man was like, well, you know, let's do a real big hit at this. So between the three of us, you know, the old man went full time into it. We moved into a factory in Bundoora. And I was like, okay, we're, you know, this little one machine in the backyard is really taken off. Let's really give this a red hot go. So it's now been the last really 6-7 years of both companies really just growing and growing and growing and getting to the point where we are now, where they're just moving juggernauts now.
Yeah, fantastic, man. So, wow, that's awesome. So let's jump back to like when you were in high school. So did you know you always wanted to be an electrician?
Yeah, in high school I was always loved work.
Yep.
I guess loved work. Loved having expendable cash. Who doesn't? But I didn't mind work. I was, you know, from 12 years old, I had a paper round. From 14, I worked in a motorbike shop.
Was that your first job, the paper round?
Paper round was the first job. Like I was getting $3 to walk, to fold like 300 bits of paper together and deliver them to like 600 houses. I look back and I'm like, Jesus, that was not worth it.
Oh, mate. You probably learned a lot though about hard work.
Oh, totally.
Resilience and grit.
At that point, it didn't bother me. I'm like, cool, I'm getting $3. Awesome. But yeah, worked at a motorbike shop sort of after hours and on weekends. Most of my weekends were in the motorbike shop. And then when I was a first year apprentice, I still did weekends at the motorbike shop as well. But yeah, in school, I worked my hands. I knew I was good with my hands. I sort of come from always working on my motorbikes, working on cars with the old man, doing stuff around the house, you know, building crap in the backyard. Came from BMX and skating, so we were always building jumps and building makeshift ramps in the backyard and stuff.
So earth moving before you even...
Pretty much, yeah. Manual earth moving. A lot of shoveling. So, yeah, just I knew physical work, just manual work, I'm good with my hands and just, you know, construction. It's quite good at that. Getting into electrical, I guess I was like I was okay at school. It's pretty good. Pretty good at math, did year 12, did methods, did physics, did all that. You know, by the time I did trade school, the first 2 years, I'm like, I just did this in physics. I'm pretty well across what we needed to know. I thought, you know what, electrical, it's what I want to do, work trade, work my hands, but it's a bit more thinking, a bit more logical, you know, the physics, the side of how it all works and stuff. So I thought, search around for a job and then, sent out so many resumes. I did work experience with a company, did work experience with a guy who was it put me off electrical, the first work experience I did.
Interesting.
It was
just a hard person to work for?
Yeah, totally. I was just like, I'd like ask questions and stuff and he just sort of shut me down. I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is... it's just one bloke I got put on to do work experience. He handballed me for one day to a group of guys I work with. One day probably changed a lot because they were awesome. They showed me around electrical. It was just like, okay, here's how this works. Here it is. Probably changed my whole mind in electrical. Like I probably could have changed my path if I'd left that work experience going, that was crap.
Bit of a sliding doors moment.
Totally. I wouldn't even know who the company was or who the blokes were now, but I just, really just like, you know, electrical's actually not bad. If you can get around some good people, you can actually go to work and have a good time and not just be sad and resenting your day.
Totally.
So, and those people are out there. So it was nice to get it, but
awesome.
Threw out hundreds of resumes to different companies and stuff, and I ended up finding out the company I worked for was about 6 apprentices put on. I was the only bloke who didn't know someone in the company who got a job. Cool. That was like knew everything was coming, suited up, 18-year-olds in a suit with me resume and stuff for the interview and stuff. I think one of the biggest things, the night before the interview, my old man goes, "So you ready for the interview?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." He's like, "So why do you want to be an electrician?" I was like, "Oh."
They're going to ask me that?
They're going to ask that. First question they asked me, and I was ready for that question then. I was like, okay, this is why. I had a bit of practice. Might notice I made a couple of notes for today's meeting.
I love that.
I think one of your other podcasts is like being ready for an interview. Being prepared for what people are going to ask and going to say. You know, it's just it's good practice.
Yeah,
it's good
for sure.
practice. You don't go on a footy field without training.
Yeah.
Before, so it's just a little bit of training.
Can you remember what you said for why you want to be an electrician?
I think pretty much what I've just said to you. I like working with my hands, and I think electrical's a bit of a smart. I pretty much repeated my first year apprentice interview. Hasn't changed.
That's great. And so you do your apprenticeship with that company.
Yep.
And then at what point do you go, maybe starting my own business is an option? Is that purely when you lost your job there, or had you always wanted to?
It was a mate of mine I ran with.
Yep.
I'd come up commercial, he'd come up domestic. So, some of the domestic boys, it's a bit of a path,
Yep.
Yeah. You're working with one bloke, I'll go out, work on my own. Commercial, you can get stuck being a bit of a number. You're like, okay, we go from this building to this building.
Yep.
It's me and 600 other blokes. But it's just, he was like, you should just go out on your own. I'm like, I'll just go do my REC, do my contractor's license.
Yep.
Then I can.
Yep.
Then it's not going to matter. It's just constantly furthering my education is like, what else can I do? What's another avenue? Even now it's like, okay, what other avenues can I do electrical or in hire as well too? So we've just sort of stepping into access equipment, where else can we expand? And, doing a few more qualifications electrically, what else can I expand into? There's bigger markets. It was just constantly furthering my own education because I can build my business on that.
Yeah, cool.
There's a whole nother market I can open up.
Awesome. And by the sounds, that's always been something that, if your dad's asking you questions about why you want to be an apprenticeship, it's probably something that you grew up with in terms of that growth mindset.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It's, very much in our family.
Yeah,
too.
cool.
Like it's we're a family business here.
Yeah.
I work electrically with my brother's plumbing company with family.
Yeah.
Family's great. But when you work with family, there's no filter.
Yeah. How do you, just curious, like, how do you go with working in that family environment? Like, is it something that, obviously every family there's good days and bad days?
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
okay.
The great thing with working with family is you can always fall on family.
Yeah, cool.
If there's an issue with another one of us, the others will pick up the slack. You're always there. You're never worried someone's going to rip you off. I've heard a million people go into business with mates, and it's just ends friendships. And not saying that happens to everyone. Millions of business out there, friends that thrive.
Yep.
But, very close-knit family we got, and, never worry that there's going to be some discrepancies or nothing like that.
Yeah,
but
nice.
On the flip side of that, you talk with, mates or employees or contacts and customers, there's a bit of a filter level. Sometimes with family, there's no filter.
Right. Love that. And so, mate, when so you start your electrical business, and then the earth moving business is like a bit of a side hustle, and then turns into a full-time operation.
Yeah.
So what does a typical day for you look like now?
Sort of depending on the day of the week.
Yeah.
I'm usually up at 5 if I'm going to train before work or train after.
So you're still doing Ironmans?
Not full Ironmans.
Yeah,
Still doing half Ironmans.
Yep.
I can find I can still train for a half Ironman.
Yeah, wow.
Spend time with family.
Yep.
And a business at the same time.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
I'm like, man, I don't know if I've got an extra, I was doing 30 hours a week of training on top of a 60-hour work week. And like, doesn't leave much time for anything else.
We had a mate on the show who did one.
Yeah.
And teacher, and then did a full Ironman.
Yep.
And, you'd text him and he'd just go, oh, mate, I've got to go for a 30K run.
Yeah.
And, then in the morning, I just did a 2K, 3K swim.
Yeah.
It's like, what, this is that's just one day?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a commitment for sure.
Totally. And you got to love, and I love it, and I still do love it. But I guess there was a point there where I was like, I'm not loving it as much.
Yep.
And if I back it off a little bit, I think there's a bit of a change from when I was doing Ironman. I was making work around the training, which was great. That's what I wanted then.
Yep.
And I think a little bit now, I'm more into my work.
Yeah.
I'm building these businesses. That's what excites me. I'm building these companies up, and I'm probably more excited to spend some time there and spend time with my wife and my family and doing stuff around home and doing that sort of stuff.
Yep.
I'm like, found a bit of a balance with that too.
Yeah, cool.
But usually up around then, KLM, we're pretty much here from 6 a.m.
Yep.
Getting machines prepped, getting ready for him to go out on site. blokes start rolling through the door at 6:30.
Yep.
Trucks, we've got trucks lined up, taking bigger machinery out.
Yep.
That slows down about sort of 10 a.m. here. Then I'm sort of on, hands on here if we need a hand out on the floor.
Yep.
If I'm doing back end book work, if I'm answering phone calls, taking jobs.
Yep.
Swinging around. I've got a real good crew here that, everything rolls along pretty well.
Yeah,
but,
fantastic.
every day someone will break something happens. There's always the unexpected here. Something breaks down, something does this. It's mechanical machinery. As much as we do to make sure every machine's pristine, sooner or later something happens. So there's always bits and bobs to fix.
And so would you say that's like probably the number one skill you have and have developed is like this critical thinking, problem solving, being able to go...
Learning to roll. Learning to roll with what's happening.
Cool.
It's a learned skill now.
Yeah.
It's like, at the start, it's like, oh, no, if I'm mindset on doing one thing...
Yep.
And then a phone call comes and it's changed.
Yep.
It used to throw me off a fair bit. Like, oh, no, I'm in the middle of doing this. Learning that's the way this happens. That's how this business goes. 1 minute we're doing this. Next minute I need a 15-ton machine tomorrow in Truganina. New plan. Make that happen.
Yeah, gotcha.
That can hold on 2 seconds. Someone's broken down, get that organised. I'll get back to this.
Yep.
Prioritising things as they come in.
Yep.
Pretty much.
And was that transferable from your time as a Sparky as well?
Yeah, totally. It does change. I think probably a little bit less because if I'm on the tools, if I'm working Sparky for the day, I can usually get to a job. The job's pretty well planned out. Okay, here, you do this, you do this, you do this. I live in my diary. It might be old school, but handwritten diary. Like both companies run on cloud-based systems. Yeah. But I run on a handwritten diary. And then
my wife will like that. She's a fan of the old paper diary.
I have 2 diaries. I have a day diary and I have a month diary. Yeah. And all my jobs get planned out in the month diary.
Yeah.
And then the day-to-day goes down in the day.
Yeah.
And I'd rather lose my phone and wallet than lose those 2 diaries.
Yeah. Cool.
My life is in those diaries.
Yeah, love that. So mate, when you're like, if we've got crew thinking about, I want to, apply for an apprenticeship and stuff like that. What's some of the things that you look for when you're hiring people and then B, hiring apprentices?
Yeah, look, taking on apprentices, a bit of drive.
Yeah.
I mean, I can teach the skills if you've got the drive to learn it.
Yeah.
And that's, pretty well across the board in some things. But if I'm looking up first year apprentices, I've got, my brother's apprentice has a little brother. He's taken the effort. He's called me, hey, I'm looking for an apprenticeship at the end of the year. Do you want to come out and do, sweet, mate. You want to come out and do a couple of days, get some hands on stuff? Cool. Has a bit of an understanding of tools, has worked with some tools before, knows a little bit about, hands-on work, just knows you're going to be under roof. I think a willingness, especially in a trade, cool. Just like, you're not in an office. You're going to get dirty. It's going to be hard work. You're going to be lifting heavy things. You're going to be pulling heavy things. Just knowing going into a trade that's what it is. Yeah. It's out there. It's working manual.
It's a part of the process.
It's part of the process.
Yep.
Like and being ready for that. And if you're pumped to do that, awesome. Have you out here tomorrow to come work, mate? Because that's
cool.
Can teach you the skills. I can teach you the trade if you've got a willingness and a drive to do it. Really.
Is it like, that's a good point. So with the drive piece, like, is there, something that you particularly gravitate towards when you are looking at applications? Like, for example, like participation in team sports or like, volunteering or anything
100%. Like, if you had part-time jobs, do you know what it's like to, finish
Actually
school and
work.
going out and work and or are you, just chilling at home?
Yeah.
Have you made the effort to try and contact people or like, 100%, are you, playing sport, you know what it's like to be in a team position or like, what are your other different activities?
Yeah.
I might be looking at, if my only activities are video gaming and some, then and maybe trade's not down your alley too much.
Yeah, cool, man. And mate, what in terms of the biggest challenges that you face, and if we could do this like divided into both businesses, what's the biggest challenges you face first with the earth moving company and then running an electrical business? Or are they similar challenges? Or?
They are quite similar. Like a lot of the time, I'm as good as the blokes I've got working with me and for me.
Yep.
Like, if I know they're out there doing the right job and paying attention, then I'm as good as that.
Yeah.
And having the right procedures in place, personally, like, I think the more KLM has grown, the more I've gone from, you know, the backyard business to, okay, make sure all our written procedures are in place, make sure, you know, stock take was new to me when we started doing stock take.
Cool.
Like, I've got over 120 bits of just random attachment equipment. I'm like, make sure they're all numbered, make sure they're all labelled. Like, same with electrical. I've got a car full of gear and just, you know, stuff sitting in factories. What have I got there? I'm not just going to the wholesaler and buying another new bit.
Yep.
You know, just some of those actually quite transferable skills, working with both industries.
Yep.
I think, I don't know if this sort of relates, but it's, and then all my businesses, and I think 99.9% of businesses are customer relations sales.
Yeah.
Whether it's a product, a service, whether you're a huge business, you're not, good chance you're still selling a product or a service to someone else. And customer relations drive business.
Yeah.
If your customers hate you, you've got no business.
Yeah.
Just, you know, Sanders Electrical has been running for 12 years. I haven't advertised. It's word of mouth business, and that's my best business. That's how I've built on just people referring me to other people, to other people, to other people. And just, if I do a good job, they tell two people, and they tell two people, and they tell two people, and I'm only there to make what you want happen.
Yeah.
So, and I go to a lot of jobs, and people are like, "Oh, the last person said we can't do this, this, and this." I'm like, "Well, you can. It's just going to be a lot harder. It's probably going to cost you a bit more. But, you know, ABC is why it's going to do this.
Yeah.
Break it down to people. This is why. The other person just doesn't want to do it because it's hard work." And it is doable. Whatever you want is doable.
Yep.
But we might have to make a couple of holes.
Yep.
We might have to do this or this. You know, we might have to take this wall out, change this.
Yep.
It's doable if that's what you want. I'm not here to tell you it's not doable. Just this is what we might have to do.
Yeah, cool. So that transparency and the
100%.
Yeah, cool.
100%. And with KLM, like a big part of our business is driven through social media.
Really?
It's amazing. Social media
Wild.
is
Awesome.
the number one advertising tool that, I mean, the new generation knows this a lot better, but yeah, we do more business from Instagram than anywhere else.
Wow. That's cool. So you like just taking photos of jobs in progress or finished?
Day to day, you got, you know, concreters and landscapers, tag us in this.
Yep.
You know, there's a whole new group of people who've seen us, and
it's
funny, we flew up to Sydney for like a dirt and diesel show, see new machinery and stuff.
Yep.
And blokes there recognised us from Instagram.
Really?
In companies, I'm like, that blew my mind. I'm like, whoa,
that's cool.
Where's something? You know?
Yeah. That's cool because like I feel like you don't. Well, I know for me, I haven't heard. Like you see when I'm driving and things like that, I'll see like tradies with like, you know, their Insta tag or their Facebook tag, but like specifically earth moving on Instagram. That's cool. Like, so have you noticed that's like a little bit of a niche for you? Or?
Very much.
Yeah.
Everyone knows everyone.
That's cool.
It's a funny little market, but it's
awesome.
And I was a, you know, fish out of water when I first got into earth moving.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, filled ourselves with some good blokes in the company, and yeah,
that's awesome, man. Awesome. And so, in terms of the positives, like from your perspective of running your own show, especially in two trade areas, what are some of the things that you've noticed over the years, like, and why you love what you do?
I think both companies have kind of helped each other. I've met people through electrical who've hired machinery and passed my numbers on. I've met people through the hire company who I'm doing electrical work for at the same time. So the businesses complement each other quite well. I guess I quite enjoy business now. I've really gone from what can I do to build this company? What can I advertise? What's another thing I can do? What, you know, like I was just saying, we're sort of looking, we're going to get an access. So, you know, let's get some access equipment. Where's the market? Who am I looking to advertise to? How do I advertise to those people? How do I build that market? It's really, that excites me now.
Yeah, cool.
That's building the brand, building the name. Like what gets me pumped, sometimes I drive past a job site and I see one of my machines, or I see one of my machines driving down the road behind a car, and I'm like, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's one of mine.
Yeah, cool. It's like hearing your song on the radio.
Almost. It is, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, cool, mate. So it's like throughout your journey, you've grown and adapted to the challenges that have been presented.
Yeah, totally.
And now you're really enjoying that business growth, that business mindset, the operations. How can we refine our stuff even further?
Definitely.
That's awesome.
And it's taken a long time to sort of get it to, you know, when problems come, used to, oh no, what's going to happen? Used to worry me. I've got to the point now, I'm like, I can solve the problem. Yeah, no matter what the problem is, I'll solve it. Yeah. And it's taken, you know, I've nearly been in business for 15 years with electrical, and, you know, nearly 10 years here. It's taken a long time to get to that feeling, but now I'm like, I don't have a concern. I'm like, I know I can fix those problems.
Yeah, cool.
I had to go through a lot of things to get to that point. I'm like, had that problem, resolved it. This is the path.
Yeah.
But you know, in that period, there's a lot of people I've been able to reach out and talk to. A lot of, you know, role models, other Sparkies who run business, other blokes in hire. You know, my old man came up through hire, so it's a wealth of knowledge to refer to him all the time. So just looking at places where I can find the knowledge. Who knows? Who's been through that? You know, this incident's happened. Who may have been through that? I'll call this person. Yep. You know, they might know what's going on, or they may have been through something like this. Yeah. Always reaching out to where can I get that knowledge to resolve that problem, sort of thing.
Surrounding yourself with like mentors and teachers.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You know,
fantastic.
If there's someone you look up to and someone who you think's, you know, there's always someone who's done it just before you. There's always someone else. No matter what you're doing, you know, there's someone parallel to you who's probably, you know, doing that, done that, been there already, that you could probably reach out to and, hey, I'm doing this, you know? Yeah. What, any advice, or, you know, this problem's happened, you know? I haven't got here because I've come up with every answer to every question out of my own head, you know? There's a million people that I can ask questions to and you know, help myself progress.
Yeah, cool. You know? What advice would you give, like, your younger self, like when you were starting out? Is there anything where you would have gone, oh, come on, Mark, like, wish I did that differently? Or, because one thing for me, like when I think of when I first started my business, I wouldn't have cared so much about what other people think. Yep. So like when I first started my business, people were like, oh, you know, it's hard to make money in that industry. And I feel like that voice kind of crept around in my head a little bit. Yep. Yeah, like, and I probably would have tuned into the advice of like, if they hadn't, if they're not in their own business, and if they're not doing what I'm doing, I'm not. What's the point in listening to them, kind of thing? Yeah, totally. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I think to sort of go back to myself, I probably did run headlong in without asking questions a lot at the start. I think it probably does slightly refer to what I was just saying. I probably learnt to ask questions because I went so long not asking questions.
Gotcha.
And nothing loses your money more than having to go back and fix something.
Yeah, cool.
It's nothing more time consuming and bad for business than having to go back and repair something that's wrong. Yeah. So it's one of those, if you're unsure, there's Google. Yeah. Google answers everything. You know?
Just give it a Google.
Give it a Google first. At least start there. If you can't find it there, you know, there's tech support. Call tech support. If you can't find it there, think of someone else you could give it a call. Yeah, cool. You know? Or just, you know, things where I've made mistakes and gone, probably should ask the question there. Yeah, probably shouldn't have just tried that and just 10-second phone call would have answered that question. Yeah. You know? I think that's probably the best advice. There's people out there that have the answers. Yeah. If you can ask that question, you've now got the answer. Yeah, cool. And what I feel happy about now is I feel like I'm in a position where I've had people ask me those questions. Now I'm passing those answers on, and that feels good. It feels like I was in that spot. Yeah. So if other blokes who are starting electrical business as well, who've called me for things, I'm like, yep, it's just this and this. Right? Like I've been there. I've had to make this phone call and ask someone.
Yeah, cool. Right. And so I'm assuming that would be your advice too for crew who are listening, who are going, you know what, maybe working for someone else, want to give my own business a crack.
Yeah, totally.
Just reaching out to people that have done it
100%.
a little bit further along the journey than you.
100%.
Yeah.
It's, saying before, every business is customer relations, like reaching out and talking to people and a yes attitude.
Yeah.
Like at KLM, we're just like, people ring for a machine. Can I get that machine? I'll make it work.
Yeah.
If you need the machine, leave with me. Even if I don't have it here, give me 10 minutes. I'll get you that machine.
Yep.
And just always having that yes attitude, especially like anyone going out in business of their own, you need a yes attitude to start with.
Totally.
Because the one time you say no, they go to someone else and then they never come back. So you can't say yes all the time, but having that yes attitude is just like, yep, I can make that work.
Yeah.
Leave it with me. I think I can make that work.
Yeah, cool. Mate, bit of a pivot question. Like you were saying before that you're quite into Ironman events. Any lessons that you feel you learnt through doing your Ironmans that have transitioned into your business scope and your business mindset as well?
Yeah, I think the ability to keep going.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely days where I'm working to 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And it's just with Ironman, it was always like, okay, it's just a 6-hour bike ride, when I was doing Ironman, I'm like, okay, I'll get out of the swim. I'm like, cool. Just got, 5 hours on the bike. Cool, get off the bike. I'm like, sweet, I only got 3 hours on the run. This is easy.
Yeah.
There goes a 10, 11 hour day, no problems.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've got this job done. Sweet, now I've got to do this. Yep, sweet. Get that job done.
Just that chipping
away.
process,
Chip away.
yeah.
Not looking at it as one big hole. That's a daunting project.
Yeah.
Like looking at so I go to a new build. Okay, we got undergrounds. Cool. Yep. It's just that exactly it. Chipping away. It's a long-term project. Ironman was years of training and a bit of sacrifice. And I guess starting your own business is a bit like that. It's a little bit of sacrifice. You're going to lose a little bit of your social time. Don't get me wrong, there's a million business. If you want to go out, start your business, work till 2, happy with what that gets from you, awesome. If that's what you want to do, sweet. If you want your business to grow and you want to, really work at it, then it is. It's a little bit of sacrifice. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, but it's what I really enjoy. Yep. So it's most of the time I quite enjoy it. So
it's funny that, isn't it? Like I feel like something that I found at the start when I started working, it's like there's all these little like hooks that kind of drag you into it, and you enjoy it even more when you start. Because I know for some crew, it's like when you get to work, it's like a bit of a procrastination thing. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, I could answer my emails, or I could, talk to Susie at the water cooler or whatever. And then when you start your own business, there's like these things that kind of grab you, and it's like your reputation's on the line, or there's your earning potential's on the line. It's like there's more stake in the game.
100%.
And for me, that was always that instant motivation. I was just like,
totally.
I could take a lunch break, or I could just do those 3 tasks that I actually enjoy.
Yep.
Whatever. Let's keep going.
Totally. I think working for a big commercial company, I got pretty disillusioned in the trade for a while, because it was just, I'm like, Jimbo over there is doing nothing.
Yep.
I'm busting my ass over here. We're earning the same. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, gotcha.
Like, ended up working with a couple of crews who probably were a bit lazy.
Yep.
And then that starts to get a little bit delusioned within the company. You're like, why am I busting my ass when he's not?
Yeah.
And I think, being on my own, you're exactly right. Like, I can eat lunch while I'm driving my car. I can eat a sandwich and get to the next job and do that next job. And awesome, sweet. There's another one down. Perfect. What else have I got? What can I do?
Yeah.
I meet my mate at the gym at 5:30. I get home at 4. Sweet. I've got an hour and a half of book work.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's a good point. Like, how do you go about managing in those early days? Like, how'd you go about managing your time to go, okay? Because this is the other thing with business is like, you go, yep, I'm going to launch this business. The idea is great, fantastic. And then you're like, oh, wait a second. I need to keep books. I need to allocate tax. I need to, if you've got staff, what does that look like in terms of training and development? Like, for you, like, again, it's just that chip and putt approach of just going, cool.
Definitely.
We're growing here. I need to level up in this area.
Yep.
Let's get it done.
I think so. Something over the long term that I've learned is my time doing back end stuff is still work.
Yeah, cool.
So it's taken a while to be able to go, okay, I've got enough guys that I can spend some time during work hours, quote unquote, to do book work. And I'm not just falling asleep at the computer at 11 o'clock at night trying to send quotes and do invoices. That I'm like, this is actual work time too.
Yep.
It needs to be allocated and equated for.
Yeah.
And, you hear this, every tradie is the same thing. You're your own bookkeeper, your own accountant, your own, you're on the tools, you're everything.
Yep.
Especially at the start. And yeah, there is hours of back-end book work and, what I've learned about how tax works since when I started. That was a eye-opener. Wish they taught me that in school a little bit better. Yeah. Wish they taught me that in trade school a little bit better. But, there's questions I probably should have asked my accountant, had a better idea about when I first started business and putting, tax away and my BAS coming up and then super and learning that. And I think I've gone a little bit off track.
No,
there.
mate, no, I'm with you. Absolutely. Like I was the same. Like it's that aha moment when it's too late sometimes.
Totally.
But then you go, I'm not going to make that mistake again. Like,
definitely.
That's a learning.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. And I suppose for you in your own career, like where do you see your two businesses going? Like are you, you were saying that you're sussing out other markets for your earth moving business. Like where do you see your own career going?
I would like to be, running both the way I am.
Yeah, cool.
Spending more time, probably here, a bit more controlling. Sort of, I've got to get the right stuff and everything. It's all a growing motion at the moment.
Yep.
So, but if I can keep the electrical going that direction, keep KLM growing this direction, keep them running, it's a project, but just, putting the motions in place in company building.
Yeah.
And just, looking at how do I build the company to the next point?
Yeah, cool.
What do I need to learn? What can I read? What can I figure out that helps me? Okay, I need to do this to get this much work, to put another bloke on here so I can get that running self-sufficiently, do this to get that running self-sufficiently, and just,
cool.
Keep it going like that, really.
Any, you mentioned like books just then, like any resources or books that you would recommend, like crew that are, starting their trade or, starting their own business that you would recommend reading?
I'd recommend finding every podcast you can.
Yeah, cool.
To be honest. Like, one thing you can do as a tradie is if you're just doing fitting off or something that can be sometimes mindless, you can smash through podcasts.
That's a good call.
If you learn to listen to them on time and a half, you can really smash through podcasts too. Though sometimes I've got to stop, go back a little bit. I missed all of that. Let's go back. I was trying to measure something at the same time. Let's reverse a little bit. But
a little bit of a hack there.
Yeah, nice. There's a million podcasts, and you'll find ones that resonate with you too.
Yeah,
there's podcasts I've listened to. There's a million tradie podcasts.
Yep.
Social media marketing podcasts.
Yep.
I'm a classic for listening to Gary V. Everyone loves Gary V.
Bit of Gary V.
You can take bits and bits from their different industries. A million different podcasts that I have listened to that, little bit of tidbits here. Listening to people who've done well in industry, like you were saying Rogan before, not so much Rogan, but some of his guests have a lot of good insight and stuff. I think there's one where Warren Buffett's like, you never focus on, worry about one stream of income.
Yeah.
You can't, I think that's what KLM and Sanders Electrical has kept me to, where else can I invest?
Yeah, cool.
I'm not just one stream of income.
Yep.
That's not going to work for everyone, but,
Yeah, nice. Dude, I think you just touched on a really good point around, quite often work can be a little bit mind-numbing and finding, as you said, like the opportunity to learn or to kind of do two things at once, I think is really, really valuable. The other thing I just wanted to quickly touch on too is like when you were saying when you were working for like a bigger organisation, because I hear this from my own mates who are in trades and have worked for bigger organisations and things like that. and even people that work in like more the white collar stuff too. Like there's always this kind of office company politics.
Yep.
Like how did you navigate that? And like, is that something like that I suppose a lot of young people going into the trade, if they are working for a bigger business, there's like these kind of pecking order with it's
Totally.
like, okay, get the young person to do that task.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, wait a second, Jimbo is not doing anything.
Totally.
Like what gives? Like, yeah, have you got any like insights or advice around like kind of managing that at the start, like when you're first cutting your teeth?
Yeah, like when I was a first year apprentice, I spent 6 months of my first apprenticeship putting up cable tray. I was an electrician for 6 months. I hadn't touched a cable.
Yep.
And I went to the foreman and asked her, just is there any possibility I can swap crews and learn something else? And then I was a second year apprentice, and the bosses brought the apprentices in for a meeting, and I was just on big company, big sites. And I asked them, can I go out with the service team? Which was, it's a little bit, it's less money. You get not getting all the site stuff. I'm like, I'd rather go with the service team and learn more.
Yep.
So squeaky wheel, really. Like asking for those opportunities, and I'm not saying rock up day one and say, let me run the job.
Yep.
But like ask for the opportunities to help further yourself.
Yeah, cool.
Like go out there and be like, can I go work service because I know I'm going to do stuff different and I know I'm going to learn more and it's going to be more beneficial for me.
Yep.
I know what lost me a bit of the long term in big commercial sites is it was what's the right word? It's bitching. It's bitching and backstabbing.
Gotcha.
I'm
Just
like,
the politics.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this bitching, backstabbing politics?
Yeah.
Aren't we all just here to work and build this building? And it's just like, the Alley Mac drivers talking shit about this guy, and the freaking traffic management's talking crap, and this dude's a dickhead, and da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm not into this. Yeah. This is, I don't want to be part of this. Just bitching.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to be that 7-year-old bloke over there who's just sitting in the lunch head complaining about something on this site and the boss is this, that, and dump. And I'm like, oh, mate, put in some effort and maybe you won't feel like that.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you'll care. Maybe you'll go do something else. If that's the way you feel, go do something else.
Yeah. Good point, man. Dude, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, thanks, mate. I've ranted on.
No, I love it. We love a rant here on the podcast. Don't worry about that. The last little question I'll ask you is, what are you roaring about? So I'll just enter Danny's little theme music.
Taco. I'm roaring.
I'm brewing. I'm soaking it up.
Taco, just thought I'd drop in a little late night surprise for you.
I'm not sure if you can hear the sizzling. I'm just sort of stewing on that.
Yeah,
I'm roaring.
Big Danny at his finest. So, mate, what are you roaring about? Like, what makes you roar when you're not here at KLM and on the tools and electrical?
I was having to think about this. I'm like, I'm really roaring about now? I'm really roaring about where I am in middle age. I'm like,
sick.
You know what? I've got my, I've just brought my first place. I've just got married. I'm roaring about building a deck with my wife and building a new shed. And middle age, I've gotten into jazz. I've gotten into reading Kerouac and Ginsberg, and really gotten into whiskey. And love my cycling still. Really gotten into that. And I'm like, really roaring about mid-30s. It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome, buddy. I love that. Like, I'm 33, and so it's good to know, in the mid-30s, it's just gets better.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
sweeter.
I think it's taken a while. I've embraced it.
Buddy, thanks so much for coming on. How can people get in contact with you and either engage your services or see your updates?
Instagram, like I said,
Yeah,
KLM Mini Excavator Hire or KLM Hire.
Yep.
Check us out. Check out our stories every day on Insta.
Yeah, awesome.
Come hire a machine. We've got little machines, we've got big machines, we've got everything in between.
Yep.
I'm on, call me on a phone, Sanders Electrical. You can find me on Insta, but yeah.
Awesome. No, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
No, easy done, mate. Thanks for having us.